think unless you have those strategies in place, any big, hairy, audacious goal just becomes a pipe dream.
Yep.
So yes, the celebrating along the way is really an important part of it.
Welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and one of the things I am so incredibly passionate about in order to be successful in business and life in general is our attitude in the face of adversity. Our attitude is what dictates how we're going to handle the things that come at us. Now, I have heard so many people of recent times complain about what is going on in the world around us. And whilst for sure there is pain that comes with some of the challenges that we're all facing from time to time, we also, while we can't control everything going on in the world, can control how we respond to it. And I wanted to speak into this by bringing somebody back into this podcast who I believe does it better than any other. I wanted to chat with amazing friend, an incredible business operator and leader, the amazing Christine Tylee. Now, if you haven't heard her previous episode with us, we're going to link it into the show notes, and I highly recommend you listen to that story. Christine shares about her story in direct selling, how this industry changed her life, but more importantly, how she tackled one of the most incredible challenges that most people couldn't even dream of having to go through. She's an absolute inspiration, has led teams of thousands of people, has been one of the world's top leaders in direct selling. And once again, in the last 12 months, Christine has tackled yet another challenge, one that for many would have beaten them down and have them walking away with their hands in the air saying, "I quit." But not Christine. So I decided after chatting with her recently, why don't I pull her back in to chat about her incredible attitude? Now, not only has Christine got an amazing attitude, which I've observed just by getting to know her and being friends with her over the years, but she has turned this into a not-for-profit that she's now running with her daughter. So I'm not going to give too much more away. I'm going to let you listen in to the chat that we had. But she is an inspiration, and it would be absolutely impossible for you to not leave listening to her sharing her story without feeling just a little bit more hope, a little bit more excitement, and definitely a shift in your attitude. So tune on in, have some fun with this one, listen on in, and pull from this what is going to help you. Because with all of these episodes, it's about that little one golden nugget that'll make all of the difference in you, your business, your family, your life. So this is about helping you grow and become greater. Grab yourself pen and paper, get ready for the golden nugget to drop, and enjoy the episode. Well, hello and welcome back into the podcast. I'm so excited to have a very, very special person joining me, not just an amazing leader in the direct selling industry, but also someone I consider to be a wonderful friend. Welcome back in, Christine. I am so excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Sam. I love catching up anytime. This is awesome.
Well, I have been catching up with you, of course. We do the odd phone call every now and again to check in and see how each other is going. And you have you've got one of the most powerful stories I think we've ever shared on this podcast. And anyone who heard that story back when we originally had you come on here, I know probably wouldn't have forgotten it in a hurry. And you've been such an inspiration to so many people. But in recent times, over the last 12 months, you've been through yet another challenging battle. And one of the things that has stood out to me about you always is the way that you tackle adversity and challenge. And you are such a master of your own attitude in what some people would consider to be absolutely insane circumstances that most people would never hope or dream to have to go through. And yet you go through them with an incredible grace and come out the other side having gained much, learned heaps. And we were chatting as a team. We said, who do we know who, goes through tough stuff that has got an amazing attitude that we could have jump onto the podcast to share a little about how they get through tough times? And I was like, there is no one I could think of better than the amazing Christine Tylee. So I wanted to chat to you today about attitude in the face of adversity. And it just so happened, and I don't think this is ever by accident, but you have actually developed an exciting new little side hustle venture business, if you like, that is all about this very thing. And so I am super excited to chat to you today about the glitter philosophy.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I love sharing some strategies on how people can approach things in challenging times, because they crop up. Sometimes I've told the universe a few times now that, okay, we're good now. some stable going would be nice for a while, but it doesn't seem to listen to me for very long. But fortunately, through each time we've been through something, I get more skills and learn how to get through it even faster. So I'm really happy to share what I've done in each of these cases. So excited to be here.
Well, I can't wait to hear a little about it. We will recap a bit on your story as well, because I know some of our listeners might be going, what are you talking about? So we'll touch on that. We will link in, though, the previous episode. So rather than us spending heaps of time going over it, I would encourage anyone that's listening to this that feels connected to you during this chat today to please listen to that episode. It was a really powerful one. We'll put it in the show notes. But in the meantime, just to get things kicked off, Christine, I'd love for you to share a fun fact about you. I know much, but I'm curious to see if you can surprise me here.
Oh, I don't know, Sam. You know me pretty well.
I do know you pretty well. Let's see. What's a fun fact you can share with our listeners about the amazing Christine Tylee?
Okay. Well, I think probably the biggest one is that despite being told 5.5 years ago that I would never be able to play any kind of sport again, I am the current world champion in karate with the International Sport Karate Association for 40 plus females. So I don't look like I would be.
I think that is just amazing and so awe-inspiring. Can you just tell me, though, I've got to ask, what was it because a doctor said you couldn't? What was the reason that you did that? Like, what makes you wake up one day and go, I know?
I think I do have a stubborn streak. I have been told that I was a little challenging as a toddler. Maybe I never quite grew out of that. I don't like being told I can't do something. So that definitely played into it for me with my personality. But I also like proving to other people what's possible, because I don't believe in, being put into a box, whatever that box might be, whether it's with your health, which it was in my case, or with your capabilities, or there's so many occasions in life where we are limited by other people's expectations.
Yeah.
And I just decided not to live my life that way. And in the process, if I can help to inspire other people and show them what's possible in overcoming adversity and proving people wrong in the process, is kind of fun.
I love it. I totally resonate with you with this. I've got to ask, though, why karate? I mean, you didn't go, I'm going to run a marathon, or, I'm going to do a triathlon. You just went karate. I'm doing
Good question. It's like, well, on the spur of the moment, honestly, I thought that's like the hardest thing I can think of, get a black belt in karate. And I had done a little bit of karate in my teen years and really enjoyed it. And it was actually the night before when they told me there was a high probability I may not live through the night. And that's when that turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of my life, being told that, because I was able to discern what my regrets were. And one of them was I'd always promised myself that I'll get a black belt. I'll go back to it one day. I'd only leveled up a few levels when I was a teenager, but I always said, I'll do it. I'll be one of those people. I'll do it one day. And then when I got to that stage in my life where I may not have had another day, I realized that honestly was my only regret other than not being there for my children. And I know we've talked about that in a lot more detail in the other podcast, but so the night before I'd had this realization that that's my big regret. So then the next day it's like, well, that would be really hard, especially considering I can't even cross the hospital floor without assistance right now. But that was this big, hairy, audacious goal. And I could see in the doctors' faces that this woman is delusional, but whatever, love.
I love that. They just nod and smile and, yeah, whatever she says, it's the morphine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Christine, when someone says to you, and let's come back to that scenario there. So someone says to you, you're probably not going to live through the night, let alone walk again. You've gone, what are my regrets? Karate black belt. How long do you wait till you start figuring out how I'm going to do this? When did you go, well, I might as well start mapping this out. Let's look at what the next step is. Let's book in to a class. Like what did that look like for you?
Well, first of all, I knew it was going to be a bit of a journey before I was even able to enter a dojo. And I had to be able to be stable on my feet, and I had to be able to walk around the block. And I had, I wasn't even able to hold a conversation fluently with somebody. I had regained speech ability, but it was like walking through mud. Finding the words was still really hard work. And so I actually didn't even set foot in a dojo for 6 months after I'd made that decision. And there was a lot of skills that I'd learnt from my daughter's health battle that I was able to apply to my own, where I knew that it was really important to celebrate the tiny milestones along the way. And I'd been doing some study on positive psychology that through a course through Yale at the time. And one of my heroes now, a guy called Sean Acor, and he's quite a famous positive psychologist, but one of his quotes
Funny
really
you mentioned
stuck.
that. I just happen to have that sitting on my desk just next
That's
to me.
it. That's the book I'd been reading.
Yep.
And in The Happiness Advantage, or actually it might have been his subsequent book, but one of the quotes is, celebrations are the oxygen of big potential. And I grasped hold of that, highlighted it, wrote it everywhere. And I really took it to heart because it's a way that I've been able to take little tiny steps towards a really big goal and feel good about it in the process. Because prior to some of these challenges that I'd faced, I'd set myself big goals. I'd completed degrees, I'd got a master's degree, I'd done big things, but I hadn't allowed myself to enjoy the process. I hadn't allowed myself to be proud of myself along the way. And then I'd finished my master's degree, and my parents said to me, so when's the doctorate? And it's like, if I can't learn to enjoy what I've achieved, I'm never going to be happy in life.
Yeah.
And so it took getting a master's degree and being faced with that. They were happy for me, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a celebration about my achievement. They saw it as a stepping stone to something bigger, because they both have 11 degrees between them.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And I drew the line in the sand. It's like, no, I am not reliving those mistakes. What are they doing with 11? You don't need 11 degrees. And so I realized, no, it's okay to be proud of the achievement I have made now, and to be okay with celebrating this and this that I've achieved. And so I'd kind of had some experience, but I really understood it when I came across Sean Acor's work in positive psychology and started researching a lot more about that. So I've been applying that approach to everything in my life ever since.
Yep.
And it's been such a key for me.
Christine, I think it's such a balancing act. You talk about celebrating, but also about achieving. And so there's no question, I think, for anyone who knows you that you achieve big things. And, just listening to you talking about karate and black belt, I mean, you came in and went, okay, I'm going to do this. I've got two questions here. The first one I want to know is, how do you ensure that you will do the thing? Because it's one thing to go, well, it took 6 months before I could go to a dojo, but surely there was something that you did to ensure that it wouldn't be something that you just always wished you would do. What was your plan of attack to make sure that this didn't become another regret, but it actually was something that you would do? Because it pushed you out of your comfort zone. I mean, talk about a crazy goal. It's very easy when you have goals that push you out of your comfort zone to go, it's a bit hard. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. I'll do it next year. How did you make sure that didn't become one of those things?
That's such a good question, because I think unless you have those strategies in place, any big, hairy, audacious goal just becomes a pipe dream.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the celebrating along the way is really an important part of it. But if you don't have little things in mind to celebrate, then you just gloss past them. So part of it is planning ahead and breaking any kind of goal down. And honestly, martial arts is a great one to be talking about in relation to this, because of the belt system that they have. Okay, so my first goal was to get to the dojo, and then it was to get to yellow belt, and each belt along the system becomes a goal in itself. So I knew the ultimate target was black. World champion wasn't something I was thinking about at the start. That never even occurred to me, but it became a goal as I got better and better. So applying almost that martial arts style of structure to any goal is important. So if you have a big, hairy, audacious business goal, and it is direct sales is wonderful for this, because if your goal is a career plan goal, it's just like a black belt goal. You just focus on the next one, and don't forget to celebrate each step along the way.
So let's come back to the celebrating. How do you celebrate the little milestones? That has always, for me, been a bit of a challenge. It's one thing to go, yay, I did it, but to actually celebrate it and feel like I'm celebrating it can sometimes feel a little bit hard, because my brain automatically goes to what's next.
Yeah, and that was me too, massively so. I was always just going to the next thing. So this is something I really had to train myself to do. But I actually had to sit down and brainstorm everything that made me feel like it was an achievement. And this might be a little unique for each person. And I also brainstormed everything that I could do as a reward. And some of them were monetary and some weren't, because different goals call for different things, and different budgets are involved as well. But just to give you some guidance to the listeners, on my brainstorm of list of things that makes me feel good, I had a list of people that I could call that I knew telling them felt good. It felt good to report in that I'd done it. And just by sharing that and hearing their genuine happiness for me, that's a part of that, taking that time to go, guess what? I can now walk 1 kilometer. And that felt huge when I couldn't even walk 10 meters.
Yeah.
And so having somebody to tell is one step.
Yeah.
And little things like, sometimes the goal isn't huge, but you've still got to stop and celebrate. So I have some little things as well. Like, I have my happy, upbeat playlist, and I might just give myself 5 minutes sitting on the deck listening to a couple of my favorite songs, sipping a cup of tea. It's just a pause. It's just like a minute to reflect that I did that, and allow that time and that space. And it's 5 minutes if it's a small goal. It doesn't have to be huge, but little things like that can add up to really big improvements, because it's training your brain that, well, we like this. This is fun. What did we do to help her get that? I kind of feel like I've got this little team of people working in my brain to help me. If I just give them a little bit more guidance, they know how to structure things and help me. And it's, the scientific basis for it is the reticular activating system. Many direct sellers have heard about it. But the filter, for those that haven't, I should explain, it's a bundle of nerve fibers in the base of your brain that basically acts as your brain's Google. It's the filtration system that helps you glean the pieces of information from your environment that are going to help you with your goals. But one of the most effective ways to train that filtration system is to celebrate things that are achieving and helping you move towards your goal. So, and then to talk about some of the things that you could buy to celebrate that are more of a reward thing. It could be little things. It could be your favorite chocolate. It could be your favorite glass of wine. It could be, I have a particular tea that I love from T2. I'll treat myself to that. Doesn't have to be huge. Little things like that. But also, sometimes we have a family holiday in mind that we want to work towards. So it could be, just colouring in a bar of the chart, and then my family can see we're progressing towards this goal. That even just that process of colouring in and seeing progress is a part of the reward system. You can see, and that's incredibly applicable to our industry.
Yeah.
Any goal that you have can be broken down into steps to be coloured, and that process helps. Also, we're trained in Western culture to enjoy receiving stickers, especially gold stars, because that's what we were conditioned with as we were children. So it's surprising how strong that conditioning is. And you might as well use it. If you've been trained, your brain is already trained to know that a gold star is good. Go and buy a packet of gold stars and have somewhere that you can visually see them and physically put it on somewhere. Whatever your goal is, in anything in life, it can apply. And that's part of that celebration, part of that reward process, part of keeping yourself on track when you don't feel like it some days and you do have to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that, and it's sometimes I think we think reward has to be big and hard, and celebration has to be out loud, but it's something that it just needs to tap into our values, right? And I love what you said about having someone you can talk to. I think there's a lot to be said for having someone who you keep accountable to, but it's also someone that you can celebrate with, because they know how hard you're working towards whatever it is that you're working towards. Christine, let's talk a little bit about, you've been through some challenges that most people couldn't possibly understand what it's like to go through, and you've come out saying, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this to help others. I'm going to use this to be a better version of myself. You had your beautiful daughter who you almost lost, and then and you told the story of this in the other episode that we did, but you were located in another part of that hospital fighting for your own life with a very sudden and very unknown illness at the time. And over the last 12 months, you've been through yet another big challenge. Do you want to share with us a little bit about what's happened with your business, which literally got you through those times as you and your daughter were battling your health issues? And again, how you've had to say, you know what, my attitude here is probably the most important asset and tool I've got.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been incredibly grateful for this industry, because when my daughter was fighting leukemia, I was able to run my business from her hospital room. And when my health challenges came up, I was able to structure it around and had team members help. And it's just been the biggest blessing to have this business. And earlier this year, the business I'd been with for 21 and a half years of my life that I was really grateful for closed its direct sales arm. So that was the body shop at home. And 12 months prior to that, it had closed the US arm of my business, but this year it closed the whole lot. So that was a big shock, a big shock, and something that you have to grieve for as well. But I chose to approach it rather than feeling angry. Some people approached it in that way. People, suffering, this kind of thing happens in our industry regularly. I've seen all sorts of different reactions, and I'm not taking away from how people approach it. Everybody is unique, but I chose to approach it from an angle of gratitude for what was and faith in myself and what I could do moving forward, and see it as there's got to be some silver linings in it. And I'm really good now at finding the gift in any challenge. Mm-hmm. And I just spent my days like looking for the gift. Where's the gift in this? What can I learn from this? And it wasn't easy. I don't want to make light of it, but I approached it in such a way that I felt able to move forward with excitement and anticipation and gratitude, and knowing that I had what it took to go and do something remarkable again.
And, what is it? It's important to grieve, yes. It's important to feel what's going on. Where's the fine line between grieving and taking the next step?
I guess for me,
because I should just put that into a bit of context. The reason I asked that question is because if you move on too quickly without feeling, and looking at some of the things you've been through, if you'd simply said, I'm going to go and do karate and I'm not going to consider everything that I've just been through, I'm not going to give that its space, you would have been bottling stuff up that would have come back up somehow, physically, emotionally. There would have been a bubbling over at some point because there would have been all of this emotion that you hadn't allowed yourself to process. So I guess what I'm asking is how do we know when it's enough when we've done enough processing, or is there an overlap there? Because feeling what's going on is still very important, right? It's not just a matter of move on and focus on the next thing. And I think that's a big danger zone that we are very trained to do in this day and age is my mum always says, get back on the horse. That's just get back on the horse. There's no point stewing on it. Just move on. But I've learned from that that can be just as dangerous as sitting in it too. So
it's a balancing act. Absolutely. And I guess I did a little bit of both. So I did get straight back on the horse because I knew with my personality that I needed to have something positive to be working towards, and that was important for me. But that doesn't mean that I didn't allow myself time to process as I was going. And I think that's something that I learned through Sophie's battle with leukemia. It's like you can't just sit and wallow in that. As a mum, it was important for me to be positive and forward focused for her and for the rest of my family. And I feel for me in this same situation, this direct sales situation, I felt like it's important for me, for myself, and for my family, as in my direct sales family, to have a positive focus and moving forward. And I think a lot of people needed that positive leadership, that encouragement, that support, a direction. Yep. And some people were not ready to even think about anything. But if I'd allowed myself to just wallow in my self-pity, then I wouldn't have been the guiding light that I feel that a lot of my team needed, as some way to look at. And they went all different directions. Some of them came with me, some didn't. But I wanted to make it clear that they went wherever with my blessing. And I think just knowing that it was okay, that I gave them my blessing to go and be happy, to follow their dreams, to remember what they've learnt. And I had faith that I would have the ability to draw other people to me, the right people for my new direction.
Yeah.
But I still needed time to process as well. So I had a balancing thing going on. There were a couple of days when I was just really sad. And I couldn't bring myself to sort through my 20 years of history. Oh, it still makes me a little emotional. I'm so grateful for what I had and for what I built and for the brand I got to represent. I couldn't sort through it all until Easter. It took me months to be ready to do that and to sift through it all and find the treasures that I wanted to keep. But I had to allow myself time to process so that I was able to let go of some things as well. If I'd done it too soon, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so I think it's about approaching different aspects in different times and allowing yourself the space and allowing yourself. There was a couple of days where I didn't feel like getting out of bed. So I'm not saying that I bounced into a new existence, all roses. But I was very, very good at finding things to be grateful for. And I knew from all of my study in positive psychology that if you focus on the gratitude, everything gets better so much faster. And that's what I did.
A lot to that. And one of the things I noticed was that through gratitude and through your attitude with your team, I mean, you had a team of literally thousands when I met you across Australia and the US. And just remind me, you had how many people in your team when you were dealing with both Australia and the US?
Across the two, about 10,000, roughly,
And so when the US closed, you ended up with roughly how many people in your team in Australia?
I think at that point there was about 7,000 US people that I lost.
So you lost over half your business overnight with that first shutdown. The second shutdown, which, by the way, for those that don't know what happened, it was announced to you literally at the same time as it was announced to the head office. You found out through a post one night or an email one night that your entire business was going to be shut down. And I think you guys were given, was it 90 days or was it less than that? There was not a lot of time.
It was, it might have been 90 days, 2 months, I think, 2 months.
So it was like this shock. I know there were lots of people that were in this place. You were one of them, and you set yourself a goal of when you did decide what you were going to do next. And I know that took you a little bit of time, but through having that gratitude and approaching people with this attitude that you've just demonstrated, which was I just want to love on everyone and have everyone go where they need to go. There's no hard feelings, but you still had yourself a goal and you said, I want this many people to be in my team when I launch. Now you don't feel like you need to share numbers, but you smashed your goal out, right? You overachieved what you set out to achieve just by coming at it with an attitude of gratitude. I love that.
Yeah, very, very grateful, and ended up attracting people that were never a part of my team in the past, and from different places. People who'd never even done direct sales saw this new opportunity as an avenue they'd like to explore with me. So I felt very, very grateful how I was able to launch it.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I want to hear about the glitter philosophy. You and your beautiful daughter, Sophie, went through quite the journey together, and you're not done. Through the shift with Body Shop at Home, you lost a bit another opportunity there, which was something you did with your daughter. Do you want to share a bit about that?
Yeah. So Sophie, as we mentioned, she battled acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and through that process, right from very early days, a few weeks into her treatment, she said, "Mummy, the kids need presents. We need to presents. We need presents. Tell you ladies, we need to make money for presents." So she was 6 at the time. So we started raising money to donate Body Shop gift packs to children and teens in hospital. And through our efforts, we've donated tens of thousands of dollars worth of gift packs to the hospital. And the hardest thing was telling Sophie that we're not going to be able to do that anymore. And she was really upset about that. So we had to come up with a new way to raise money to be able to donate gifts. And we also are very passionate supporters of Red Kite, which for the international viewers is or listeners, is a children's cancer charity that really supports the families who had done an amazing job at supporting us. So we're quite passionate ambassadors for them too. So we came up with a bit of a plan, and we have what we call a glitter philosophy, how we approach life and everything within it. And it started from when Sophie was really sick. I wanted to start a gratitude practice with her, writing down something we were grateful for each day. But she didn't really understand that at 6. So we called it the glitter journal. So we started looking for things we were grateful for, but it became more than that. Glitter became about the highlights from the day, the best parts of our day, and as well as the things we were grateful for. And she really taught me a lot through that process. And, previous podcasts will go into a lot more detail, but it was quite amazing and inspirational the way that even in such challenging days that I would struggle to think of anything, when she could hardly even talk, she was so sick or in so much pain. And she would manage to tell me pages of things that she was grateful for from the day and her glitter from the day. So we've created this whole philosophy to life, is to be looking for the glitter in our day, things to be grateful for, the highlights. And it's helping to train our reticular activating system for positivity, scanning the world for things to be grateful for. And that includes within our businesses, for our health, for our day-to-day life, just everything. And so now we are selling kind of little reminder bracelets. I've got a few on today.
I've got some here too because I'm loving this so much. So you guys have actually created these little wristbands, right? I've got mine on here.
Yay.
And these are your little reminders to find the glitter, right?
That's
the
right.
sparkle in your day through journaling or whatever that might be. You're a big believer in journaling, right?
Yes, absolutely. The studies have shown pretty conclusively that journaling about things you're grateful for can make a massive impact on your life. They can see physical health improvements. They can track sleep improvements, and some studies that have been done believe that it's lengthening your life quite significantly. So quite a remarkably powerful practice. And so this is our reminder to be looking for the sparkles in our day. So it's a dual purpose. It's a reminder for you to be positive and to be looking for all the best things, and it's a fundraiser, as the profits from
Yep.
them go towards either, it's a bit of a mix between gifts for children in hospital and Red Kite, the
Red
charity
Kite.
that was really helpful for us.
And these have got on the back a little QR code as well, so people can scan that and they can find out a little bit more about your story. They can follow your journey as well there. But just can you just share, because the other day you came into our accelerator members and you actually taught the glitter philosophy to the group, and by the way, it was a really powerful session. I had lots of people reaching out afterwards saying that they really needed to hear that, and there were a lot of very emotional thank yous as well, because quite a few people were really touched by the story. But you did share something at that time. You sort of touched on it just before, but one of those moments where you realized that this was a really powerful thing that you were doing with Sophie. Do you want to share about that time? You said, I think you started by saying she schooled me on this particular day.
Yes, absolutely. Just when at the end of this particularly challenging day, and I wasn't going to do the glitter journal with her because I thought there is nothing to be grateful for today. There is no highlights from today. I'm just not going to make her do it. And she asked me to do it, and it was a day where, well, at one point in time, I wasn't sure that she was going to make it. She was full of monitoring. We were watching her heart. You know, we were on standby for the emergency crash team. It was a tough day. She was in a lot of pain. She was hooked up to machine. It was just horrible. Let's just say that. But she was able to tell me about so many things to be grateful for. Little things like, you know, I got the smiley nurse today, Mum. Oh, and remember, you know, the Starlight Foundation came in and gave me a joke, and my picture came up on the hospital TV today, Mummy. That was me. And like so many things. And this little glitter journal, just a little A5 sparkly book, is packed full of things to be grateful for and highlights in the day. And this was from a period of her life, like it was about 10 months that it took us to fill this book. She'd spent a large portion of that time in hospital. And many days where she couldn't leave her bed. And it was full of things that she thought were just wonderful.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful.
Yeah. It makes me quite emotional now, just thinking about the fact that this tiny, and she was 6 at this time, 6, 7.
Yeah, she was 7 by the conclusion of it, 6 at the start of it.
Yeah. And this beautiful little human has no reason to have to be grateful. She has no reason to have to see the good in every day, but you've trained her brain through doing this process without even realizing you're doing it to find the glimmers in her day, the things to hold on to. And you know, it makes me wonder if, you know, you doing this process with her could be one of the very reasons she's still with us today. And the fact that she's able to show you, and now you're able to show other people, that it doesn't have to be big things, holding on to the little things. And sometimes, and you said one of the other things that day was that they gave her the better tasting medicine that day instead of the yucky one. You know, those are the things that get you through the everyday. And my favorite quote right now, this is written on my bedroom wall, is when you're singing about the fruit in the vineyard, you're not focused on the thorns and the weeds, because you can't focus on both.
I love
And
that.
you had her focusing on the fruit in the vineyard. And the fruit doesn't need to be big. It doesn't even need to be ripe, but it's there. And I love that. I think, you know, for anyone listening right now, guys, you know, we're going to put the link to be able to support Sophie and Christine with their new little fundraiser here into the show notes. These are only $9.95 Australian. So, and if you are in the US and you want to get some of these, reach out to me. We'll see what we can organize for you, because I really want to get behind you guys. I think this is such a big lesson for us, no matter where we are at. And I think that story and what Sophie showed you in those moments, and the fact that you trusted your instinct And you taught her something without her even knowing you were teaching it to her. You trained her brain to focus on those special things each day. And I just want to celebrate you for that, because I know that this is a life that you live. Even through the toughest of times, you continue to focus on the positives, and, look at where that's got you. So I just want to thank you for that, because it's such a big reminder for our listeners, for me, and of course for our amazing members who you've come in and you've spoken to several times now. So thank you so much for that, Christine.
No, thank you. It helps me every day. It really does. And there's days where you have online trolls and you could be focusing on.
And you had that too. I know that's been another part of your journey. You've had some massive trolling issues in the last 6 months. It doesn't end there. It just keeps going. But somehow, every time I talk to you, you'll say, it's been a really tough day, or I've had a really tough week, but I've got some stuff to be grateful for.
That's
and I love that.
absolutely right. Yeah, it's about choosing what we focus on. If I focused on the trolls and the negativity and the crazy stuff that people will do, to try and tear you down sometimes, then I would be an unhappy person. Instead, I choose to feel sorry for people that think that that's how they should act in this world, and grateful that I'm not one of them. I would never behave like that.
Another of my favorite quotes: where energy goes, energy flows. When you're focusing on that stuff, you're going to get more of it, attract more of it. You'll be in the thick of it. Where do you want your energy to be? I've got some questions for you right now I need to ask you. These are my favorite questions, so I've got to give them their time. The first one is, and you said this book the last time, so you can't say it again. I asked you the question, what's your favorite book? Now, last time you said The Happiness Advantage, and I bought it straight away by Shawn Achor, who you've already mentioned. It's been sitting on my bookshelf, and I picked it up 2 weeks ago and went, that's it, I'm going to read this one. So it's currently with me because I've been reading it. But what's your next favorite book?
Yes, I knew. I came prepared because I figured you wouldn't let me get away with that again. Look, anything by Shawn Achor, but I figured I'd have to do something new. So
Yes.
this is one that I've read reasonably recently, and it's actually more of a business-focused book, but it really shifted more of my thinking. I'm thinking bigger, I'm thinking grander, and it's probably partly why my new journey with Urban Retreat is just blossoming, because of the way this book has made me think. So I'd highly recommend it. It's called 10x is easier than 2x.
Oh my gosh, Greg's just read this one, and he's shouting about it from the rooftops.
Oh, it is so good. It is really, really good. So it's by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And I really found it a little bit revolutionary, and it's changing some of the ways I'm operating in business and in life. So I'd highly recommend that people grab that one.
Awesome. Well, we'll add that one to the list. Now, next question, your favorite quote?
Okay. I probably can't share the one I spoke about before either. So, because I really do love the celebrations are the oxygen of big potential. So I'm going to sneak that one in again. But
I asked someone yesterday on the podcast what was their favorite book, and I said book, and he rattled off 10 as quick as he could without taking a breath, so I couldn't stop him. He just kept going.
I can understand that thought. Okay, I'm just going to go with the basic, simple, I can and I will. Watch me.
I love it. I love it. And that's very Christine right there. I think that was probably written by Christine.
I don't know who originally said it, but I have definitely adopted that philosophy.
And if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would that be?
This one, I had to think about, because there are quite a few things that I'd like to say, but I honestly have to go with, I would eradicate childhood cancer. It's just gone from the world. Yeah. I think that is what, if I felt that I could do that, then that is what I would trade my life for.
Yeah. Yeah. And the very last question, probably my favorite one is, if you could go back in time and you could whisper something to your past self, what would that be?
Just believe in yourself. You can do it.
Yep, I love it. Christine, you are, as always, such an inspiration, and just, you and yourself, I think, are glitter. I feel like every time I see you, I just feel like you sprinkle this sparkle on life. And I know everyone who hears you, whether you come into our accelerated group or you're speaking into our Rise Up members or you jump onto the podcast with me, people are always saying, thank you so much. You're amazing. So I just want to honor you and thank you for being obedient to your legacy as well, because you are having such a big ripple effect in everything you do. And I'm excited to see what comes next for you with this amazing new business, and watch this space. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you. I think the biggest compliment I've ever been given is being called a big piece of glitter. Thank you.
There you go. That's how you can identify from now on. Just a big piece of glitter.
Thank you.
So I've got to ask really quickly, for those that want to know, where can they get their glitter philosophy little bracelets from? And they come in lots of different colors too, don't they? So you can pick different colors. But where do they get these from?
Either find me on Facebook or go to my personal website, which is just christinetylee.com, and you can find all sorts of interesting things about me and my journey there.
And we'll put that in the show notes as well, of course. And they can follow your journey on social media or jump over to your website. But again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so beautiful chatting with you again today. I never, ever get tired of talking with you. So I appreciate you taking the time out and joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Such a pleasure. Thanks again, of course, to our beautiful listeners for tuning in and giving us the honor of your time today. Please share this episode with someone that you want to sprinkle a little bit of glitter onto yourself, and don't forget to subscribe for our upcoming episodes. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the podcast again next week. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.